And of course me, I do video. Hello. I don't say anymore. Okay. And I would like to introduce our special guest today from our 1-year anniversary, Umar Hameed, productivity cube, neuroscience genius that can change behavior like that. Welcome.
Hi everyone. Welcome. I was thinking about this as I drove up here today. 2 people at the bottom of a set of stairs in a house, and they start walking up, tiptoeing up the steps, and get to the top of the steps and they see a bedroom door's ajar, and they walk over to the door and they just peek inside, and there's a crib in there, and they go inside and they look at to make sure the baby's okay, and as soon as they can see the chest rising and falling, it just makes them feel really good, and it's like and then the husband kind of reaches over, puts his arm around his wife and says, how can we screw this kid up? That never happens, right? Our parents want the best for us. Their hopes, their dreams, and everything they can possibly do for us, they do. When you have parents going into elementary schools dropping off kids, every single parent that goes there thinks their kid's special. The question to you is this. Kids have dreams, right? When you say, what do you want to do? They know exactly. I want to be a firefighter. I want a pool. I want 2 pools. All that kind of cool stuff. So what happens between elementary school and life? Because the reality is, most of those kids in that school are not going to be special. They're just going to have average lives doing average things, and they're going to have their own kids, and they're going to want the very best for them, and oftentimes they won't get it. So the question is, what's that disconnect? What stops us from getting the things that we really want? Because when you talk to people that are really successful, a lot of times it isn't some magical formula they've got. So every now and then you get a Steve Jobs, who's like totally exceptional. But other people that are successful, oftentimes what they do is, I figured out what I wanted, I figured out the steps I needed to get there, and the difference between me and someone else was, I just kept on doing whatever was needed. And what was needed oftentimes isn't that complicated. Has anybody ever been in multi-level marketing? Which one are you in? Arbonne. I knew that, right? So when you look at the leaders in Arbonne, people that are like exceptional at what they do, oftentimes what they do ends up being simple things that they keep on repeating.
Yes.
And the big difference is when other people would give up, they just keep on going. So what do you think, what makes some people keep on going and not give up? And what do you think, so that first, audience participation. What do you think makes us give up?
Give up?
Yeah.
I say you don't believe in yourself.
So sometimes you don't believe in yourself?
Yeah, because you really don't believe it. If you believed it, nothing could stop you.
Right. I think many people have not been taught skills on how to manage their disappointments.
How to manage disappointments, because sometimes, you know, everything's well and good, but as soon as life hits us, it's like, okay, I don't want to do that. What else do you think stops us?
Other team members that just drive you to the point of total, I can't take it anymore.
Other people on your journey? Sometimes those people are in our families. What else?
Lack of vision.
Lack of
I
vision.
would say vision.
Yes.
Would you say a common thread would be fear? That we go to do something and fear comes up and stops us?
I'm sure fear.
So one of the things I'd like to do today is I handed out some sheets of paper. What I want you to do, I'm going to guide you through a thought process to really figure out what your dream could be. And it could be something that you want to create, could be a professional thing, could be a personal thing, could be a relationship thing. What I want you to do is imagine that, does anybody need a pen? Yeah, pens. There's one over here. So I want you to take a deep breath, hold it in for a moment, and let it out slowly. And I just want you to just imagine if there was a magic wand and basically any doubts, any uncertainties, all of that just disappeared for a moment. And I want you to think about when you were a kid, when you could actually dream big and dream large without any restrictions. Kind of go there for a moment. And I want you to just imagine that if you could build the life that you wanted, be it professionally or personally or the whole shebang, whatever it is, just let all judgment and fear kind of go away for a moment and just dream big and figure out what would be that one dream that if you could achieve that, it would make life worthwhile. Not only for you, but the people that you're surrounded by, your kids, your family members, your friends. If they saw you could do it, that would inspire them to actually let go of their fear. So I want you to think of what's that one dream. At the top of that sheet of paper, write down what you think that dream would be. You won't share it with anybody else, so feel free to just write down whatever it is for you. Then once you've written it down, you can turn the sheet over for a moment. So the very first step we need to do when we want to achieve a goal is to really figure out what that goal is. Because a lot of times we have this general sense of what the goal is, but a way to make it real is really to get a good sense of what you would see if that goal was real, what you would hear. And it could be what other people are saying, what you're saying to yourself, what you'd hear if that goal was real. And the last part is, what would be the tactile, the physicality of it? What would you be able to touch? What would you be able to feel emotionally if you had that goal? Get a really good sense of that. Because the way we bring information into our minds is not through language. It's what we see. It's what we hear. It's what we touch physically and emotionally. It's what we smell. It's what we taste. That is like the building blocks of human thought and building the plans that you really want to build.
I'm lost on the back. What are we supposed to be?
What's that?
I spent too much time on the front. What are we supposed to be doing?
Oh, just flip it over to the back. Nothing on the back so far.
Sorry.
So the question is, we've got these goals and we want to achieve them. So the question is, what stops us? So the first thing we need to do is understand how human beings work. At the heart of who we are is where we hold our beliefs. We have beliefs about what it means to be a man, a woman. We have beliefs about restaurants. We have beliefs about being in front of the camera. We have anywhere from 50,000 to 100,000 beliefs that define who we are as human beings. The issue is that we get most of our beliefs by the time we're 7 years of age. We get these beliefs from our parents, our uncles, our aunts, our teachers. So a good example, how many people here are in sales? So we've got beliefs around selling. Typically if I go into a group of salespeople and say, finish this sentence for me, salespeople are? Someone will say, they're outgoing, or they're pushy. And you'll hear some positive attributes, then you'll start hearing negative attributes like they'll sell you anything, they have no morals, they're pushy.
A little lower than no lawyers or something like that.
Lower than lawyers. Yikes. But a lot of times we get these beliefs from our parents, our uncles, our aunts, our teachers. A lot of times we can be salespeople, and in our conscious mind we want to succeed. We don't want to rip anybody off. We want to make sure other people get value out of what we do and make their lives better. But you could see little Billy in a car going to one Saturday morning with his parents in the front seat, going to buy a new car. And as they pull up into the new car lot, the father turns to the mother and says, sweetheart, you know, if you really like a car, don't let the salesperson know, or he's going to force us to buy. Little Billy's like 6. It's like, don't trust salespeople. And it just goes in the unconscious and it stays there. When I ask beliefs around money, you're in wealth management. There is a lot of hang-ups around money. When I say finish this sentence, money is, and I hear some positive ones. It's awesome.
It's an energy.
It's an energy. It lets you do great work for people, lets you help people, and then you hear stuff like the root of all evil, causes fights, causes divorces.
Breaks up families.
Yes.
When we watch these TV shows, yes?
No, I say one thing.
Please.
Because I always teach people that money is like blood. If it's high blood, it's not good. Low blood, it's not good. It has to circulate.
Yes.
Oh, that's a good one.
My stepmother used to say, she was Brit, money's round to go round. So we have these beliefs around money. And these beliefs, it's like a thermostat. Our beliefs kind of set a financial thermostat when we have beliefs around money. So let me ask you a question. I'm going to suggest what your annual income should be. I'm going to start really low, and I'm going to work my way up. And what I want you to do is pay attention to any thoughts, feelings, or sensations in your body when I do that. So to do that, I want you to take a deep breath, hold it for a moment, and slowly let it down, or let it out. Your annual income should be $10,000 a year. It should be $30,000 a year. Your annual income should be $50,000 a year. $70,000 a year. Your annual income should be $100,000 a year. $400,000 a year. Your annual income should be $1 million a year. So when I said incomes that were a lot lower than you're earning right now, what were the thoughts, feelings, or sensations that came up in your body, in your mind? No way?
I'd quit.
Anybody get kind of get angry, or is like annoyed? So what happens? What happened when I picked a number that was close to what you're earning right now, other than depressing? What did that feel like? Or what feelings came up?
Just neutral.
Oh, that was neutral when you got to where we were.
Neutral?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt, when you said 70, I felt comfortable.
Yep.
When you said 400, I felt fear.
Okay.
I never knew that.
So what happens is this, is that when I get to, you felt neutral? Another word for that is comfortable.
Comfortable.
Because our beliefs
I got comfortable.
dictate what we earn. And when I say what happened when I went slightly higher than you're earning right now, for a lot of people it's like exciting. It's like, wow, you know, sweet. But when I go much higher, then all of a sudden fear comes up. For some people, inner dialogue comes up. Oh my God, if I'm earning $400,000 a year, I'll be working all the time, my kids won't have any supervision, they'll turn to like the bad element, get into drugs, and oh my God. And people have that dialogue instantly because our beliefs dictate what we do. So at the heart of who we are is where we hold our beliefs. From our beliefs, we create a model of the world, how we think the world operates. Patsy works with a lot of people that want to do better. There's some people that Patsy, I suspect, goes and says, you should write a book, or you should open a business, or you should do that. And for them, that thought, that idea does not exist on their map, and they're like, you could do it, but I could never do it. Because their beliefs create this model of the world. If it doesn't exist on there, some people might say, it's a good idea, but they don't believe it, and they won't do anything to go after it. Or if they do, they'll do it half-heartedly and not accomplish it. So we have our beliefs, then we have this model of the world, and from that is where we get our behaviors, what we do day in, day out to get the results that we get. And when we don't get the results that we want, what we do is, okay, what I need to do is to get a coach. The coach is going to tell me what I need to do. When I talk to coaches, when you coach people and you tell them what to do, how many people actually change their behaviors? A lot of times said not many. It takes a while for them to start doing the things they need to do. So what we're going to talk about today is, what stops us from changing our behaviors. So the number one area human beings get stuck is in the area of beliefs, where they have a belief that says, not you. So there's this woman that I know who runs this organization here in town, where a lot of CEOs and leaders of government agencies are part of that organization. And she only has a high school education, even though she's been doing this for 10 years and been doing a spectacular job, and she's seen as a leader in the community. She feels like a fraud because the belief is unless you have a university education, you're not worthy. So here's somebody doing what she needs to do, but every day is an unhappy day. So what's needed there is a belief change. When we change that belief, for the first time she could enjoy her accomplishments and enjoy life fully. The second area we get stuck is when we have an inner conflict. I had this one woman who came in. She runs a small company, and there's only about 5 people in the company. Her and her husband run it. And she says, I go to networking events, and I meet people, and I call them up, and I want to have a one-on-one meeting with them. And oftentimes they don't want to meet with me. And when I hang up the phone, it's like, I should have said this. When they said that, I should have said this, or I could have said that. And so when she comes in, she's telling me, Umar, I know I can be great at this, and I want to do this. So she's got this strong voice, strong gestures with the right hand. Then she switches hands and goes, but you know, I've never been formally trained in sales, and you know, I'm not sure I can really, you know, do this. And so the voice is weak, and the hand gestures are very weak. And as soon as I see that, it's like inner conflict. You've got two elements pushing in two different directions. So using neuroscience, I was able to help her unite the two parts. So she's only got one thing, there's no inner struggle. So all the energy goes to getting what she wants. And so the instructions are, okay, go back. It's like a late Friday afternoon. I want you to go back to work on Monday. I want you to get the networking cards that you got, start calling people and notice what's different. And so she goes home. That Sunday, it's a birthday. And her husband forgets her birthday. And so she's livid on Sunday. And they work together. They take separate cars. And when she gets into work, she's still really angry. And it's like, I can't call people because I'm too angry to call them. But then the guilt sets in. I promised Umar that I would call. And then finally it's like, oh, I better make the phone calls because I promised him. So she picks up the phone, she makes the call, the first one, and she gets her first appointment. She actually does a dance in her company because she hasn't got an appointment in such a long time. That day she got 5 appointments. That week she got 17 appointments. And the cool thing is I never told her a thing about what to say to get appointments. All I did was I noticed there was an inner conflict and we resolved it. And she always had the knowledge inside to actually make it happen. The last area that we get stuck in is, I don't think we met today. Hi.
Carol Stover, nice to meet you.
Carol, nice to see you again. So for Carol, I went over and I shook her hand, and Carol didn't think about it. She just reached over and shook my hand back. But at the reptile part of Carol's brain, we have 3 brains. We've got the reptile brain, we've got the limbic brain where all the emotions are, then we've got the neocortex where all the higher level thinking is. But a reptile brain, its only purpose is to make sure she's safe. And to let a man grab a hold of her is dangerous. So the first thing she has to do is figure out, is it safe to shake Umar's hand? Carol figures, I could take him. And so it's safe to shake hands. The second thing she has to do is figure out where my hand is. She didn't consciously go, his hand's over here, and direct her hand. But her mind figured out where it was, and she came to shake my hand. Then she had to figure out how firm to shake it. If I shake it not firm enough, Umar's going to think I'm a wimp. If I shake it too firmly, he's going to think he's a wimp. So she wants to protect my feelings. Then it's the length of time. If I shake his hand not long enough, he's going to think that I'm snooty. And if I shake it literally a quarter second longer than I should, he's going to think I want a date. So all of this calculation happens in her unconscious mind outside of her awareness. All she knows is there's a trigger, and the trigger is me putting out my hand like this, and the whole thing automatically triggers that whole process. So we have salespeople that go into $5 million accounts, and they go in and they're the masters of their domain. I rock here, I know this space. And their dream is, you know, I want to get a $100 million company. And they've been thinking about it, dreaming about it for a year, and they finally get an appointment. And they go into this big building, and as soon as they're walking in, just like my hand was a trigger for Carol, that lobby becomes a trigger for them. As soon as they see that lobby, it starts an inner dialogue. You know, we're not really a big enough company to deal with these people, or they're too sophisticated, and all of a sudden we become less than we ought to be, and it's a tripwire. A lot of times when people are speaking in public, sitting at a table talking to their friends, no problem. Put a mic in front of them, it's like that hand coming up like a trigger. All of a sudden they start getting flustered or they freeze up. So they're the 3 places we get stuck. One is limiting beliefs. The second one is inner conflict, where part of us wants to do something, the other part says no. And the third one is this hot-wired responses. And so with neuroscience, what we can do is figure out exactly what the block is.